Skin prep is so important. If you haven't prepped your skin properly before your foundation, you're never going to get the best result from that foundation. So I will layer a bit of skincare, but trust me, if you're not in the habit of layering your skincare now before makeup, you'll get significantly better results from your makeup. It will stay on longer, it will look more seamless, it will melt into your skin. Before I do anything, I'm just going to do a little bit of lip balm, and because we're in Harrods, this is the Mar Lip Balm, which is, I don't know if anyone's tried it before. It has a really beautiful soft scent, which I really like. It tastes nice, but of course, more than anything, it's got those classic La Mer marine extracts that really deeply nourish your lip. If you are going to be doing a Christmas look and you're heading into this family with your reds, I think we're going to go neutral, because I love the neutrals. If you're heading into the red family, be sure to exfoliate your lips at this stage of your makeup. So you've cleansed and you exfoliate. You don't need necessarily a lip scrub. There are beautiful lip scrubs available. You can just use your towel or a flannel and buff those through your lips, or you could make your own sugar scrub. I love a little bit of coconut oil and sugar and honey. Tastes delicious, makes your lips nice and flake free. But there's nothing worse than doing a beautiful liquid matte like that Huda, like that Kylie liquid matte, and then seeing kind of flaky skin or cracks. So please do that first. Again, no prizes for anyone who guesses my favourite all-time serum. It is, of course, Shiseido's Ultimune Power Infusing Concentrate. Not only do I love it because it does start the hydration process. So I've done 3 pumps, which is probably a little bit extravagant. But at least 2 pumps will start the hydration process, but it will just fill your skin full of the most incredible vitamins, antioxidants. It's got the Renewer technology, which is just in the Ultimune range. But more than anything, what I love is the ingredients almost supercharge whatever you put on top. So whatever the actives are in your creams and potions that you put on top, it makes them more effective. So I absolutely love it. Onto eyes, Strivectin Anti-Wrinkle Intense Eye Concentrate. We're going to use a little bit now, but I'm going to focus it on the outer corner of the eye. So for most of us, yeah, of course, you've got to think about makeup prep, and you want to make sure your under eye area is hydrated. But for most of us, we focus our concealer here, kind of in the troughs, in the inner corner of the eye, but actually in the outer corner is where some of us might have some fine lines, so that's where you want to focus your eye treatment. So I'm just going to blend a little bit there in the outer corners, and it has a blurring effect instantly. Now for cream. Now has anyone heard of Augustinus Barda? I think it's Barda, I've been calling it Beta, but it's Barda, right. Helps cell rejuvenation, and it's one of those products that has been incredibly thoroughly tested and has really impressive results. But it's not cheap. But it's one of those products that it's not cheap, but it works. So it is something that I highly recommend. We've just used the normal cream. There is a rich cream as well. So if you're someone who has dry or dehydrated skin, or just really loves a glow, or really loves that kind of dewy finish once you've applied your makeup, you might want to try the rich cream. It's absolutely heavenly. Now, we are doing makeup. This isn't just a luxurious pre-bed skincare routine. So I'm going to use a little bit of a Morphe primer. This Morphe primer is an illuminating primer. Therefore, I love it. So I'm going to use it almost to highlight the skin. I'm not going to use it all over. So I'm going to use the illuminating primer over the top of the cheeks. And this will help give the skin a little bit of extra glow. I also find that illuminators are brilliant at reducing and minimizing the appearance of pores. And that, my friends, is always a winner. So I'm going over the top of the cheeks mainly. I'll take a little bit down the center of the nose. But using an illuminating primer is a brilliant way of achieving that lit from within glow if you don't want to rely on, say, cream or powder highlighters later. I love cream highlighter. I'm going to use a powder highlighter. I love them. But if ever you've done your highlighter and you look back at pictures and you think, oh, crumbs, you know, I had a bit of a white sheen, that was a bit too strong, or if you've not blended it well, if you want something way more subtle, use an illuminating primer under your foundation. I'm going to start with the Dior. This is the Forever Skin Glow to show a really pretty dewy, luminous finish. And then I'm going to go to the complete other end of the spectrum and use a bit of the Hourglass Vanish just through the centre of the face. First of all, I'd love you to see the coverage. I know that for some people, still kind of festive makeup means more makeup. Doesn't have to be, but I know for some it is. If you're looking for full coverage, this foundation is it. But let's start with a little bit of glow first. I'm going to start taking it mainly through the centre of the face. And the brilliant thing about doing that is you start immediately controlling redness and high colour. Now Lola doesn't have loads, there's just a little bit around the nose. And then without taking any more foundation on my brush, I'll just use whatever's left to bring the foundation out towards the ears. But a good sign that you've got the right foundation shade is if you pull your foundation out from the cheek and you can't really see where it ends. That's a good clue that you've got the right colour. If you place it in the centre of the face and the colour is really glaring, then let that be a warning that potentially the shade isn't quite right. And then just to show you the Hourglass, because it is a brilliantly beautiful, full coverage, long lasting foundation. It couldn't be more different to the Dior. But I'll just use the tiniest bit. So that was not even a full pump, it's kind of half a pump. And again, I'll just get it on the tip of my brush. And there we go. We'll just use it a bit like a concealer, a bit like a skin perfector, just through the centre of the face. This is just further added, that little bit of coverage. It does give the most beautiful kind of blurring finish. Carissa, the brand founder of Hourglass, really knows what she's doing with these products. Okay, let's do a wee bit of concealer. I actually will use the Hourglass Vanish concealer because again it's in the same vein as the foundation. A little bit goes a really long way. The coverage is excellent, and actually what I've taken onto my hand is more than enough. And as always, I always like to start right in the inside of the bridge of the nose. Most of us carry a little bit of discoloration just here. That's really worthwhile knocking out, especially if you're doing a smoky eye. You don't want the darker colours to kind of bleed into the side of the nose. And then I always love to take it just a little bit over the top of the cheek there, and then just a touch in the outer corner. And then as always, blend with the ring finger. And the reason I love the ring finger is that not only are you pushing the concealer into the skin and into the eye cream and helping create that kind of really blended second skin-like finish, but you also lift off any excess on your ring finger as you work. So once you've done your concealer, always be sure just to blend the inner corner. It will mean that you get a tiny bit of concealer on your lid, but that's not the end of the world. I am, however, going to jump into Huda's Tantour. I love this stuff. Have we got any Tantour lovers here? A few, okay, yeah. The reason I love it, again, I've got far too much there, haven't I, Martin, is that I think if you start building your bronzer and your contour with cream products, it just looks so much more natural than layering too many powder-based products. And I'm just going to start pulling just here from the top of the ear down towards the cheek. But I'm not going to go right to the cheek because I want to keep that clean for blusher. And then I love to take it right from the hairline over the forehead. And then, what I love to do, especially when doing a smoky eye, I love to take just a little bit, just look down, out through the temple, but kind of going out across the edge of the end of your eyebrow, just a little bit. And then blend that down. And then you can just blend the edges. But the effect at the end is that you get, let's get the foundation brush, is that you get a really softly blended bronze / contour. Now, quick note, I've gone back to my foundation brush just to blend out the edges, because like with all things, if you don't blend out the edges, that's when you can run the risk of doing, you know, slightly stripy makeup. So whether it's your bronzer, whether it's your contour, whether it's your highlight, be sure to go back to your brushes and blend out so that it looks as natural as possible. So let's do the iconic tints. This is Fearless Flush. And again, I always work from the back of my hand first. And I'm going to use a different texture brush. This is a Shiseido brush, and I'm just going to dab into the product. And then little smile, Layla. Just going to pull back from the apple of the cheek for a really gentle flush of colour. So let's do a little bit of brow. And I thought, let's just see. I'll see how the colours work. But I wondered if I might be able to do a little bit of the shadow from the palette. I don't know about you, but I'm a massive fan of multitasking products. So if I can use a bit of a brown shadow from my palette to do my brows, then I will. So I'm just going to gently carve out the head of the brow. If you're ever concerned about filling in your brows or how to achieve, you know, a defined brow that still looks natural, start with powders. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a brow powder. I will do a bit of a pencil as well. I've got the Huda Bomb brows, which are incredible. They are, I think they're the finest brow pencil available. So really, really thin, so you can achieve really pretty hair-like strokes. But let's just get a little bit of a base there. The tip is, I absolutely love them, but you don't need to wind them up too much. If you wind them up like that, you're just going to break the nib and you'll waste your brow pencil. So you need just a little bit showing at the top, and then just start fluffing little strokes through the brows. So that's why I love to do kind of the powder base first. And then as you start stroking through the brows, that's when you start to add a bit of texture and create those natural hair-like strokes. All seen this, is that the head of your brow should start at the top. If you rest a brush on the edge of your nose to the tip of your brow, that's where your brow should start. Your arch should be, if you take from the corner of the nose out to the corner of the pupil, she says holding a spoolie one that's not long enough, honestly, and then the tip of your brow should be from the corner of your nose out to the corner of the eye and down. So that's just a whistle-stop tour of brow mapping. Okay, right, let's get cracking with the eyeshadow palette. Oh, that's pretty! And what I will do though, before I do that, is I'm going to jump into, this is the Hourglass translucent powder. Tiny bit of translucent powder on the lid before I start, just to absorb any natural oils. Great, and then I'm going to go into, I think we've got to do Good Vibes. This will start our crease colour actually. Quick point, I'm using a fluffy brush, again this is a Morphe brush, but I'm going to find a spare bit of hand and just work the powder into the brush, and that's just going to ensure that the pigment is, eyes open, that's it, just look straight ahead, that the pigment is in my brush and not sitting on the tip of my brush. What happens if it's just sat on the tip? You'll get fallout, exactly. And no one wants fallout once you've already done your foundation. So we're taking that quite high, we're making sure it's really nicely diffused, but focusing it on through the crease of the eye. You can of course intensify this and make it much darker, but it's like it's just a starting point. So making sure that's nice and blended. And then I wonder if I'm going to go into one of the more shimmery colours. I think, oh, let's do Striptease, because that sounds a bit risque. But I'm going to do it with my ring finger, and I'm doing that because I really want the full power of that pigment. You could use a fluffy brush, but a fluffy brush is going to give you, close for me, a much less intense colour payoff. I'm just going to very gently press, ooh, that bronze onto the lid. Now, trust me, no matter your age, no matter your eye colour, no matter your eye shape, you can't go wrong with a bronze smoky eye. It just works. I'm just pressing that colour. You can be fairly kind of rudimental with it initially, and then we'll just go back to that fluffy blending brush and just blend the edges a bit. So pulling that powder shadow up into the crease colour. Look at me, Lola. Pretty. And then just pat. And when I pat, I'm not simply going up and down, I'm doing tiny movements kind of side to side, just to make sure I lay down that pigment. I do the same when I'm adding sparkle shadow. I see people kind of literally just tapping, but nothing will happen if you do that. Okay, let's do a little bit of something in the inner corners for a sec. I'm going to use this, Luxe colour. Let's just check it. Yeah, pretty. So it's like a soft champagne. Let it down for me, Lola. So I'll just use that a little in the inner corner just to reflect a little bit of light. And then for the lower lashes, again, another Morphe brush. I'm going to go back into the Good Vibes. It's a much smaller fluffy brush. And we'll start by layering this kind of taupey tone, look up for me, because we want to make sure that the lower lash line is nice and soft and smudgy. If you go in too hard, you can make your eyes look a bit cross, and we just want to make soft, smudgy, smoky vibes. So try and get a fairly thick, smudgy, taupey lower lash line first, and then we're going to do some pencil liner on the top lash line. But if I go back into the deepest brown, this is called Cinnamon Roll, look up for me, you can then pull a bit of that down from the lash line, trying to get right, in close to the root of the lashes, and then smudge that with the other brush, just to intensify it a little. And you can keep going back and forth, blending and smudging and adding until you're completely happy. But I would always suggest starting by layering your lighter colour first to get that kind of baseline of definition, and then go in with the deeper colours to intensify. For the top lash line, we're going to grab, this is also new to me, I'm so excited, Kylie Cosmetics. This is the new relaunch Kylie Cosmetics. First time playing, too fun. Just a black liner to get it right into the root. As you can see, I'm not doing a perfect line. I'm doing lots and lots of little strokes. And then with a much smaller brush, just go in immediately and start blending. And you can soften up that liner. So I'm starting just to pull it out slightly in the outer corner and just smoke along. So just buff back and forth all the way along the top. What you don't want to do is try and buff at the root of the lashes, because you do want the liner to be really intense at the root. But when you start going up the lid, you can very gently buff that top line. I will say, when it comes to blending out the tip of your eyeliner, you want to make sure that your brush is slightly firm. If your brush isn't firm, then you could be blending for a week and nothing's going to move anywhere. Then let's grab, so these are Lash Star lashes, and they've got awesome individuals as well. Have you seen them? Really pretty, really fluffy. But before I do mascara, let's try and do some of these. And then you do have to be a little bit patient and wait for a minute for it to go tacky. I still use tweezers to put my lashes on. I find it kind of the easiest way of doing it. It's slightly easier doing on other people. That's it, eyes open but look down. And then just drop in the centre of the lash. I'm just going to pull in the outer corner, there we go. And pull in the inner corner. Lashes really do get me in the party spirit. If you're doing them yourself at home, has anyone struggled with lashes at home? It can be a real pain, can't it? I certainly get confused with my left and my right, but I find it most helpful if I hold the lashes right in the centre with my tweezers, and then you literally just go in a heart, in a semicircle, and place them down. Let's do a little bit of lip. I've decided to go full neutral. Again, haven't used the new formula yet. This is one of Kylie's lip kits. So the lips are primed with balm before, during skincare, and then we'll just place across the lower lip. We might use the lip pencil in a sec. Sometimes, I don't know about you, but I find a liquid lipstick, because they're so malleable, you don't always need to use a lip pencil. But maybe we'll do a little bit just to perfect the edge. There we go, just make sure you bring the lipstick to the fullest extent of the lips. Moving on, we'll go to a little bit of Kylie's gloss to give a bit of a glossy finish. So hopefully that's had time to dry. Yeah, just make sure if you're using one of the lip kits, if you want to gloss on top, just let the lipstick underneath dry in place. That will then mean that the gloss doesn't move your liquid lip. So I'm just rolling the powder over the makeup to hold it in place. I don't want to do loads that the skin is completely matte, because I do love a slightly dewy finish, but just enough that we lock the makeup in place, ready to spritz in a sec. This is also the moment, if you wanted to, you could go into a powder bronzer if you wanted just to really lock your concealer in place. I'll do a little bit of the Westman Atelier mascara, shall we? Let's do a little bit on the lower lashes. So you'll notice I like to turn my spoolie wand vertical. I always just find this gives me that little bit more control. At the lower lashes, I know that it's nothing more annoying than perfecting your eye look and then getting mascara on your lower lid. So I like to turn the wand vertically. You've also got a bit more control, I reckon. And then I'll use what's left of the mascara just to blend the natural lashes into the falsies. And I can't believe I used to do this, but I always used to do mascara first on clients and then lashes, but actually it works much better this way around. Let me then do a little bit of highlighter. This is Dior's highlighter, Forever Skin Luminizer. I had a little play with some Dior products yesterday and it was a lot of fun. So I'm just taking that right on the very top of the cheeks. Not too much, a little dusting will suffice, and a little bit down the bridge of the nose. Do Hourglass veil. And what this setting spray does, a bit like, have you ever used the ambient lighting powders from Hourglass? Amazingly, it does a similar job of kind of creating a bit of, once it's dried, a little bit of a blurry, soft focus finish. So there we go, a neutral, smoky, festive look using lots of bits, including the brand new Jaclyn Hill Morphe palette.